Hi everybody. Today I want to tell you a story about a client I worked with many years ago who had a problem with clutter. Well, she thought she had a problem with clutter, but it turned out to be something very different. This client taught me something important, and that is that inside each of us is a wise self, a wise voice that always has our best interest at heart and is always doing its best to communicate with us so that we can learn what we need in order to live a great life. This client came to me because she had 3 years worth of unpacked boxes scattered all over her apartment. She was finally ready to get organized. Now, I had heard this kind of a request before from other clients. Clutter is a very common topic that clients want to work with, getting rid of stuff in their lives. So I thought, okay, I'll take it on. And during our first coaching session, we created an action plan where we broke down getting the clutter taken care of into small steps, and I gave her some homework over the next week to just handle a few boxes in a room that she saw or that she was in on a regular basis. So we started with her bedroom. She came to the coaching call a week later, and I said, how did you do? Did you get the boxes emptied? And she said, no, I went to start and I just started doing a few things and I just got distracted and I couldn't do it. I thought, okay, so we talked a little bit about how we might need to adjust our approach in order for her to get the clutter eliminated, and set her off for the next week with another piece of homework in the hopes of moving forward. 1 week later, on our coaching call, I discovered once again that nothing had been achieved. She wasn't able to make any progress. So that was a clue to look deeper. So I said to her, what do you think's going on? And she said, I don't know. I've been doing this every single time I attempt over the last 3 years to get these boxes emptied. I just can't seem to make it work. And I've talked to professional organizers. I've broken it into small steps. I've set a timer. I've rewarded myself, and I just can't seem to do it. And I said, okay, well, in that moment as a coach, I was stumped. I wasn't sure what to do. But I was smart enough to just say to the client, I'm kind of stumped. Let's just take a few moments together. Get quiet. Let me see what I can come up with. So I closed my eyes, took a few deep breaths, and basically said a little prayer, asking the universe, asking God to give me direction so I could help this client. And I often did that as a strategy as a coach. A, I wasn't afraid to admit when I was stumped, and B, I knew to check in to a wiser voice than the one that was running around in my head. So when I closed my eyes and I checked in, the message I got was a little strange. All right, it was a lot strange. And I said to this client, I'm going to make a suggestion that might seem a little crazy, but humor me and let's do this. And she said, what? I said, I want you to go out and I want you to buy several little tea candles. The little silver tea candles that you can buy at a department store. I want you to buy several little tea candles. I want you to find some night this week where you'll be uninterrupted, and I want you to light the tea candles and place them around the boxes in your living room. She totally thought I was crazy, and I understand why. I thought I was a little crazy. But she said to me, all right, I'll do it. I think this is weird, but I'll do it. And I said, when you light the candles around these boxes, I want you to sit there, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and I simply want you to say to the boxes, what do you have to tell me? What message do you have for me that I'm not hearing? And then just see what happens. And when you're done, write down anything that occurs to you, just anything, as wild as it might be, write it down. So we hung up the phone, and she agreed, with her agreement that she would try that. And a week later, she came to the coaching call, and I have to admit, I was thinking, this is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what happened. She came to the call, and I said to her, how did you do? Were you able to light the candles? And she said, yeah, I was. And I said, what happened? She said, well, I first sat down, I lit the candles, I put them around the boxes, and I thought to myself, Cheryl is out of her mind. She said, but then I sat there quietly, I closed my eyes like you asked me to, and I said, what are you trying to tell me? What message do you have for me? What's the message underneath this clutter? And she said, at first I didn't hear anything at all, and I stayed there, and I thought, this is nuts. But I closed my eyes again, and I said, what are you trying to tell me? And she said, all of a sudden, tears sprang to my eyes, and I started to cry. And I stayed with the crying, and I heard, in these boxes are the notes for a book you long to write. And until you start writing, we're not going anywhere. Wow, I thought, I get chills even now when I think about it and when I tell this story. Because in that moment, I thought how powerful it is for us to listen, to get quiet enough to listen to that inner voice. So I said to her, you know what, this isn't about clutter, and it's not about getting organized. It's about something far more important, and that's getting your book written. So we changed our homework strategy, and for the next several weeks, I gave her homework to begin writing the book, to gather all the notes and to begin to put it together. And within about 9 months, the clutter in her apartment was gone. And she had the makings of a really wonderful book that she was going to move forward with publishing. So I ask you, if you look at some challenge in your life, and it might be clutter, if you got a little quiet and asked that problem or that challenge or the stuff in your life to tell you what message it has for you, you might discover something pretty amazing yourself.